Hey man, we're back to back Thursdays, but we're actually live again because we didn't go live last week. Where's my energy at? Let me find the energy, man. We're back. We're live. It's Thursday. It's Big Baby and Friends Thursday special podcast. I got my man. Can I call you Parlay Pete, or should I just call you P?
You know, they both push the same way. So however you want to address me at this point, just know that I'm P. I'm double P at that.
I mean, bruh, like that. You really like OGP out here. You know what I'm saying? Because like you've been pushing P since the day I met you. You know what I mean? And like we ain't even. You so P that niggas didn't even know you was P yet. You know what I'm saying?
Most people don't even know my real name is P. You know what I mean? Like that is my real name. And so, before the parlays were being pushed, before the playoffs, there was always P.
Yeah, man. And
P. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and we over here pushing P these podcasts,
Exactly.
Hey, P, you know what? That just gave me an idea. For next week, I'm gonna cut pushing P
and bring it in as the intro.
Bring it in for the drop. You know what I'm saying?
Or some shit. I can, or like I'm Ray Lewis and they're playing Hot in Here, and I just come out just like just doing a little dance, like coming in. Like I'm fair game for that.
Yeah, we gotta do this in the metaverse too.
we gotta find out where Matt Nagy is, because he's not P right now.
Nah, Matt Nagy.
I know that he typically does tune in live, and maybe he'll show up today. Who knows?
So what does P mean? Have we figured out what it actually means? Because I know they say it means player.
I figured in general, I felt like I had heard the term before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's super P. Like, I was thinking like player. Like, you know what I mean? Like player shit. Like, you know what I mean? But not necessarily, oh, you're a player. But it's just like, this is like player shit. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Like, just like hard, fire, cool.
Yeah. Same thing.
Like, I made jokes about P.
That's real shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. Like,
bro, I made like jokes about P 2 days ago, and I've been saying it all day being funny, and now I've actually warmed up to it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can use this.
Yeah, well, and think about it. That's why I noticed you started doing it too in the group. Whenever you see something put up, you just P. Instead of liking it or whatever, you're like, P. It's P. That's just P. Yeah.
See, I definitely stole that from you, and I used it in other groups, and they're like, I can see you saying this. I'm like, yeah, I know. I stole
it. Well, it's only funny just because, like it's kind of a joke to me, but it's like also it's just like, because everybody can look at something and be like, man, they're really like, now we got to see this shit. Everybody's following this shit. Like they're doing this trend, but it's like you could take something and make it what you want to make it and like make a joke out of it. Like, but it also still be in relation to really what it's supposed to be. Like,
right, man. And in the content game,
fun with it. Like, we can't just be mad at everything online like forever.
No, man. And I'm in the content game. Like, I have to use young people's language. Like, I can't. Like, I used to not want to say cap. And I'm like, bro, I'm too old for that. And one of my homeboys was like, bro, why are you acting like you 40? Like, you can say cap. Yeah. And I say it all the time now.
Yeah. That's
anyways, man. No kizzy. Let's get into our first topic. Don't overthink the room. And sometimes when you're 30 and you're trying to figure out, can you say P? You're just overthinking the room. Yes, you can say it. No one cares. So we came on here last week, and I tried to say that the Buccaneers may struggle with the Eagles. The Eagles could keep it close. I trusted Bill Belichick too much, although I understood that their roster was nothing like the Bills roster, and their rookie quarterback, cold game, playoffs from Jacksonville, Florida, played at Alabama. Come on, Big Baby. You know better than that.
I underestimated.
Hold on. I'm monologuing. Right. And then what's the other game? And then the Chiefs Steelers. I go, nah, the Steelers defense, they're gonna, bro. Big Ben in the third quarter had 98 passing yards. At the end of the third quarter, he had 98 passing yards, and that's who Big Ben's been all year. But I'm not gonna lie to you, to y'all, to the listeners. When you come on here and you talk about this stuff all the time, sometimes you don't want to say the obvious thing because you're like, hold on, let's think about this. Let's try to find something that nobody else may be saying, or a way of thinking that nobody else is thinking about right now. And you get yourself in trouble because sometimes y'all get mad at the Stephen A's, the Cowherds, the Nick Wrights, the Skip Baylesses where you think they're just talking crazy. But honestly, you're trying to find an edge, a corner that nobody else is on. And then you end up realizing, hey, bro, it's a reason why everybody wore white forces. Because they hard. Like, there's no substitute for a crispy pair of white forces. I don't care if you got $5 in your pocket, you got $5 billion. Like, if you put on a pair of crispy white, brand new white forces, anywhere you go, that's P.
Push it.
So I'm gonna say don't overthink the room. Parlay P, why did you let me overthink the room last week?
I tried to warn you about the Bucks. You know, I think that the question that everybody had to ask when it came to the Eagles was more along the lines of, okay, hell, we saw them in the first game of the season. We're like, okay, you know, is this just how bad the Falcons really are? Or is this like kind of like what the Eagles are going to be like this year? And I think they finished the season more like that team that we saw in the first game. So they came in with the momentum, and then even though they got waxed in the last game, now granted Jalen Hurts didn't play, but they did still get waxed. Everybody else played, and it's not like Gardner Minshew's a god-awful backup. You know, he's a competent enough backup to where if you're in a division rivalry game and you've already got playoffs locked up, you still want to kind of send a message or even beat them to where maybe you get to play them again the following week. I don't know. Like, but I think that when it came to that game, I definitely warned you. I warned you about the Bucs. Now, we were drinking the same Kool-Aid when it came to the Steelers. And I think with the Steelers, my thought was just that, you know, like that, the Steelers defense is still pretty good. They've got good. They have the defensive player of the year on their team. They've got Minkah Fitzpatrick. They got Joe Hayden. They've got like these guys. Like they've got guys. Mike T is still the coach, and Ben's on his last. You know, it's his. It's his last ride, and so it just was kind of like they can show up enough to cover a 2-touchdown spread. And like I said, they did get close for what it's worth if they didn't get blitzed for 8 minutes. But they did get blitzed. And we knew that that's who they were in reality. And we knew that's who the Chiefs really were too. We know that that's who they are. We know who Patrick Mahomes is. You know, he doesn't get crowned for no reason. Like that's a bad motherfucker. Like throwing that, he can throw that rock. Like, you know what I mean? And Andy Reid is going to put him in a position to throw that rock in even better situations. So that one, you know, we just got to take our L and say that we overthought it. And now we know going forward. And with the Bills game too, similar thing. I think that we thought that Bill Belichick was super P, you know, because he's been P his whole career. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that for me personally, when it came to the Bills, I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen and I like the Bills. And like, I think that I just looked at it a certain way because I just was there and watched my team play them and we were beating them at halftime and it was fucking, you know, in the teens in weather and it was snowing. So I'm just thinking, well, Bill Belichick's certainly going to have a better defense and probably just as competent of an offense as the Falcons going to a place that you've already won in a team that you pretty much own, you know, granted with Tom Brady for a majority of the time, but a team that you pretty much have owned, you know, for 2 decades. And so I think that we overthought it because we thought that it was just too good to be true that they were giving Belichick points like that, when in reality, the Bills are just, they're the real deal. And I think that when we see this upcoming week, when those two teams play each other, Chiefs and Bills, we're probably going to get the best playoff game potentially. And I know the NFC and AFC championship games are always normally good. Sometimes they're blowouts, but for the most part, they're instant classic type games. Like, I mean, I've seen some really good ones. But like the first one that comes to my mind is Saints Vikings. Like, I'll never forget that game. But great game. Falcons beating the Vikings in '98. I remember being a kid watching that. But nonetheless, I think that we're going to get one of those instant classic type games because of how Kansas City got beat. And so hopefully we don't overthink next week or this week coming up.
Hey, you know, real quick, let's be Falcons homers real quick, like we like to be. I remember back to that 98 season and all the commentary coming off of it, and everybody talks about how we ruined the Vikings 15-1 season. Did you not realize that we were 14-2? It's not like we were a 11-5 team going to the NFC Championship. We were
probably the only time in NFL history that a 14-2 team was a 2 seed.
Right. Like,
and we've seen 13-3 and 12-4 wild cards, right? Yeah. But I don't think we've ever seen a 14-win team be a number 2 seed.
Like, hold on, a 14-2 team is a dog in the NFC Championship.
Yeah. And I would be interested to look up exactly what the lines were back then. But I have to imagine, obviously we covered because we won, but I would have to imagine the Falcons were probably almost a touchdown dog, like -6, 5.5, something like that. Like,
because that's back in the days where home field gives you 3, and everybody
they still use that today. That home field automatically gives you 3.
Well, listening to Bill and Sal this week, apparently it's dropping to 2.5 now.
Really?
Yeah, they said it. I believe it. Like I trust Cousin Sal when he talks about like the nuances of Vegas.
Isn't that even scarier than with the 49ers spread last week against the Cowboys? I just couldn't believe it because I'm like, the 49ers aren't a team that gets blown out. So I guess I just didn't understand why they were giving them 3.5. I don't know. I thought that was a relatively easy pick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and we know who the Cowboys are. So that's a little shocking that they're even. Well, and actually, it makes more sense because if it was 3.5, 2.5 makes it 6.
Fair. Hey, so let's go back to these 3 games, right? In our don't overthink the room. Let's go to Bucks Philly first. Phillies came out and they said that they're going to keep Jalen Hurts as their starter. They got 3 first rounders. I think that Jalen Hurts is good enough to be your starting quarterback. He had a terrible first playoff game. Let's be honest.
I expected it.
He's a second-year player in his first full season starting. He's not the refined passer that you'd like to have. Seeing as he got benched by Tua, who is barely an NFL starter anymore, if we're being honest.
He won 7 games in a row.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he beat some bad teams, just like Jalen beat some bad teams, just like Dak beats bad teams. But
I'm just saying he had a winning record as a starter this season because he missed the games when they were losing. He wasn't playing.
Well, Tua has a winning record as an NFL starter. Let's be if we're being honest. But we watch it. The eye test does matter. But I look at Jalen Hurts, right? And I saw that Nick Sirianni finally decided towards the end of the season, middle to the end, to actually run a Jalen Hurts offense. At first, he wanted to run his offense outside of the first game of the year, from game 2 to like game 9. He wanted to run his own offense. And then he finally figured out, let's run the Oklahoma offense for Jalen Hurts. Now, what I'd like to see is if you're going to really put your faith in Jalen Hurts, you double down on Jalen Hurts just like Baltimore doubled down on Lamar Jackson. Because when Lamar Jackson came in, we didn't like him as a passer. And each year, he's gotten better. This past season, yes, he was hurt. But each year, Lamar has shown improvement, right?
Yeah.
Hey, every year, Jalen Hurts has shown improvement. We see things from him that shows us that he has potential. But I think because we live in this microwave society of everybody's supposed to be Joe Burrow when they come into the league, they're supposed to be Andrew Luck when they come into the league, that's not the case. Some of these guys need 3 to 4 years to actually figure out who they are, because especially as a quarterback with great feet, a great runner, your natural instinct is to be the best athlete on the field, not be the best passer on the field at times, because being the best athlete has been what's helped you out so much. And talking to some people who have a good understanding of what Jalen Hurts is, the question was asked, hey, what should give me optimism about Jalen Hurts moving forward? Quick answer: his character, who he is. He works hard. He understands it. He's accountable, and he embraces his flaws, and he goes and works on them. So I think year 2 in Sirianni's system, a good offseason, that Philly's going to have a chance to battle for that division next year, as long as they go all in on Jalen Hurts and they're not 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
I think it just depends on what happens with Dallas, first of all. Like, I think that's going to be a big deal. If they keep Mike McCarthy, I think it definitely opens that door for sure. But my thing with Philly is this. you're in a position now where this offseason is probably your most important offseason since you decided to go with Carson Wentz over Nick Foles after you won the Super Bowl. And really, actually, no, because the very next year they made the playoffs, and Nick Foles won them another playoff game. And then that was when Nick Foles went to Jacksonville and they signed Carson Wentz to all that money. And you made a great move. I mean, look at how much the Eagles fucked the Colts. Not only did the Colts not make the playoffs,
They don't get the pick.
they gave them a first-round pick, and you did make the playoffs when this was supposed to be a rebuild year. Now, the question will be, do the Eagles take that step back? You know, whether it be Jalen Hurts' progression doesn't necessarily get that much better, and then the teams around them get better. Like, I mean, Washington's going to be better. I think
if they get a quarterback,
depending on what happens there, they're going to be better. Who else is in that division? The Giants. They look like dog shit, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, Russell Wilson is out there, and I think we all know that Sierra wants to grow that brand a little bit more.
We'll see what happens. Since Body Party.
Hey,
we were in college.
Yeah. But you know, when I think of Sierra, I don't even think of her music. Then I think of her music. I know the music video, you know, but
I think of Ride.
I think Boink said that he's got a love for that Body Party video. Or was it the Ride video?
No, both of them.
I don't know. Like, he said it was damn near soft porn to him.
Like, but, if you want to talk about softcore porn that's allowed on fucking cable TV,
you know it. Hey,
I see why Russ listens to her.
Well, yeah, you know, and Future, 50 Cent, Bow Wow,
Reggie Bush,
host of guys that, you know, they liked it too, and they wanted to see if she could do it on the dick. But
you know, I leave my current situation for that. I think it'd be understood.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of men would, but nonetheless, I think that with Philly, it's gonna really come down ultimately to what they do this all season. You got 3 first-round picks, albeit they're all jumbled up at like 14. 16 and like 18 or something like that. They're jumbled up. They're middle to kind of late.
But it's a bad quarterback draft.
But you've also got a guy too that showed improvement that some people would take a chance on. So for me, if I'm Philly, the first thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get one of them whopper quarterbacks. You know, I want Watson, Wilson, Rodgers. I'm doing everything I can to package Hurts. That way they've got somebody. Like if he goes to Seattle would have to figure out what they're going to do, whether they draft a guy or they want to take a chance on a guy like Hurts. I would be trying to package him in a deal along with probably 2 of those picks. If it took all 3 to get.
If it's Russell or Aaron, it's worth 3.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'd be willing to give up those picks.
And Deshaun too. Like, who am I bullshitting? Yeah, I don't think the Casario wants Jalen Hurts though.
And Watson would be really ideally because he's the youngest, and we know he's a fucking baller. Like we know that Deshaun Watson's a baller. The Eagles have good enough pieces to where he could be very successful up there. So if I'm them, that's what I'm trying to do. Like I don't want them to overthink the room themselves as an organization and look at, you know, we got this, but we've seen so many teams take step backs. Hell, I bet a bunch of people looked at Blake Bortles after they went to the AFC Championship. He threw like 38 touchdowns that year and 15 picks. He wasn't god awful. And I know what you're saying. The eye test told you something different. But the Jaguars had a dominant defense. They won 11 games. He did throw like 38 touchdowns. Got what's-his-face paid up in Chicago, which now he wants to get out of there too. Allen Robinson got him paid. The other wide receiver. They had another wide receiver too.
Bro,
it was Allen Robinson and somebody else.
They paid him after that though, which was fucking stupid. You didn't even have to pay him.
Yeah, and so, but I'm just saying. Now look, everybody thought that he was building on something, and that was like year 2 or 3 for him. And now what? Blake Bortles is like out of the league. But
nobody with good eyes said, "Hey, Blake Bortles has a skill set that I think that I can build around."
Well, he was prototypical white quarterback, 6'5", big arm,
athletic.
You know, he run a little bit. Like
he was like the Milwaukee's best version of Josh Allen, right?
That's fair.
Yeah,
A lot more successful in college though, because he was good. He was good at UCF. UCF was good when he was there.
Yeah, but UCF has now shown that they actually have a pretty good program, and it may have been the program and not Blake Bortles.
Fair enough. And now they got Gus. They got Gus captain in that shit.
Hey, and he's probably gonna give
an SEC job after next year.
Right. I mean, maybe he's gonna give Fickle a run for his money for best whatever that
in the American Athletic Conference, the AAC.
Yeah, the AAC, whatever the hell that is.
Fickle's but he should have went to Notre Dame. But go ahead.
But anyways, let's get another thing that happened in this game. This Bucks Eagles game is your boy BA Bruce Arians,
idiot.
He slapped the player in the back of the head. Parlay Pete, if your coach, not your high school coach, I'm talking about your NFL coach, slaps you in the head like that during a game, what is your response?
Don't fucking touch me. And at that point, I'm going to need an apology. I'm going to be a grown man about it. I'm not going to act like I don't have any self-control and try and fight him or anything, but I will address it with him because just like him, it's just like, bro, I'm a grown man too. And we both make millions of dollars. So why are you what was that for? Bro, what was the point of that? And then I'm telling the ownership, and at that point, I would probably, depending on him, I know that they've won and they're in the midst of a playoff run. And it's bigger than that. And Brady gets to galvanize the guys and tell him, man, fuck BA. He could tell him like that and probably fuck BA. Man, we're here to try and win some football games. But something like that, I'm not also just not letting no grown man slap me upside the head. And so at that point, in the off season, I'm telling my agent, look, I got to get out of here.
So here's how I think I'd respond.
Because if I slapped him upside his head, I'd be cut.
You're not get a job again.
I'd be cut, right? And so,
AB,
if I think about it,
look, bro.
Imagine not slapping him upside the head and just knocking his fucking headset off or something. He slapped his headset off or something. You're done.
Or what if you tripped him on his leg with the partially torn Achilles? You just trip him.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, I know I'm a football player, and I know that no, I'm not letting you do that.
Here's the thing: we're definitely gonna have a verbal confrontation right there. I'm not gonna hit you, but because you just slapped me in my head on national TV, and I got a mom at home, I probably got a baby mom at home. If I got a baby mom, I got a kid at home or in the stands, and they seeing that, and I'm not a parent. You are, but I feel like there are certain things that you can that there are certain responses that you have in front of your child that may be different if your child never knows about it. Because especially as a grown man, we're supposed to be protectors of the people in our lives, especially the women in our lives. You being a girl dad.
Yep.
Ain't no grown man just gonna slap me in my head. I'm be like, man, that's just coach coaching us hard.
Nah, it isn't. He could have verbally assaulted me and called me a bitch, dumbass, whatever you can think of, and I would have been more susceptible to that than you putting your hands on me. And then more specifically, the way you put your hands on me, you didn't grab my jersey and pull me closer so you can hear me, talk to me. No, man, my back was turning. You fucking smacked me upside the head. Think about smacking somebody upside the head. How many people have you had to smack upside the head?
Bro, I haven't smacked anybody upside the head since middle school when we were dumb kids, and then somebody would say something stupid, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, give me that neck." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was about to say, and that's actually what I was about to say. I don't think I've ever smacked anybody upside the head, but I've definitely, neck some niggas used to neck niggas. That's
we before we did necks, we did this thing called a muff, and that was upside the head. It wasn't the neck. You know what I'm saying? There's some cards.
I just remember people getting when you got a clean neck, Oh, but again, especially when a nigga got a fresh haircut or something,
it's either a fresh haircut or it's you said something stupid, hey, bro. As soon as you say something, hey, bro, come
idiot, yeah,
So it's the same thing. I'm sure the player probably did something stupid on the field. So Bruce Arians like, hey, come here, give me that neck. Nah, I ain't 14, bro. I got a mortgage. I got a rollie sitting in my locker right now.
More importantly, I know people, because it's a game, everybody looks at it this way. That's still the nigga's job. So he's on the job. He's on the job. He's there getting paid. And this is what he's basically saying, that the Buccaneers pay me to do this. The Glazer family pays me to do this. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't pay him to do that. That was like $50,000.
You got like a $50,000.
I can see a guy like BA crazy enough retiring after this year.
And maybe this speaks to something that everybody talks about BA being a player's coach, but you listen to enough bits from BA press conferences. BA shits on everybody. And BA has this aura about himself that he's that guy. You know, like some of the stuff that he would say about Jameis, I'm like, that doesn't really sit right with me. I wouldn't like that. But Jameis did do the 30 for 30. And I ain't talking ESPN. We talking picks and touchdowns. Then he comes out and he hits Brady with that's not how we practiced it. Like, BA, what do you think you are? You talk like this is
That's
great.
Tom Brady. Yeah.
Like he's not like Aaron Rodgers, who we love his talent, only has one ring. Like Brady got the rings, he got the MVPs, like
he has everything he has more of everything almost than anyone.
Yeah, right. Like you need to relax. You don't talk to him like
there's not a more accomplished player in the NFL.
No,
ever.
In any sport, except for maybe Bill Russell, but Bill Russell didn't play in the modern era, so I don't.
Jordan's pretty accomplished. I put Jordan. I mean, he's only got one less championship, but like Jordan won MVP, like it was
5 times, yeah.
And he kind of like LeBron, and not to get into basketball like that, but kind of like LeBron. Every year that he didn't win, he realistically, if he wasn't him, he really would have won it. But like.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, man, you need to watch how you talk to Brady. And then the AB thing. Again, and we talked about it on here. The problem with the way AB acted was that we didn't even get to shed light on what BA did that was fucked up. Like, you going to cut me in the middle of the game? Tell me to get the fuck out of here? And I guess this takes us into AB at it again. We'll go back to not overthinking the room, but AB's at it again because he's going on I Am Athlete and he's saying what he got to say. Let me see if I can get this clip to actually play.
Why did Brandon Marshall make him?
We've got nothing.
Why did Brandon Marshall make him look stupid?
Why did Brandon Marshall what?
Make him look stupid. In a sense of
Brandon
Marshall is so well articulated. And think about it, and think about Brandon Marshall as a whole.
He's Mr. Mental
He's somebody that dealt with mental health issues himself, if you remember. Do you remember that? And so, so it's funny that they were even talking about that mental health and how we kind of brought up when it happened to AB that, even without knowing the specific details, and even if that was true, everybody agreed that was unprofessional the way that he handled that. And so, and maybe it wasn't professional of BA to do it that way himself by saying, "Hey, man, you're cut," like in the middle of a game. But
we don't see that. We just see we don't even see the coach arguing with the player. We just see the coach coaching up the player. That's the perception. And we talked about it in the group, man. So AB said, "There's nothing wrong with my mental health. Someone told me to get the fuck out of here. I'm not passive aggressive." And to a fault, AB is just a nigga. And we talked about that on here. Like, he wanted them that, like, hey, here's the principles that I stand on. And one thing that I did like that he said, he was like, y'all talk about players having mental health issues and stuff. I'm trying to protect my mental health by you talking to me like this. I'm gonna remove myself from this situation because I can't live like this. Like, if I live like this, my mental health is gonna be off.
And that's fair. That's fair. Like I feel that way. I handle situations like that when I feel like I might get upset or like I'm gonna like say something. I feel like I'm gonna say something that I just kind of remove myself from it. That way I don't do it. And some people, you can judge how I handle it by walking away from it however you want. but I'm going to still do what I think is in the best interest of not just myself, but you too, whomever it is that, whatever it is that we're talking about, you know?
But here's the difference in what you're talking about and what AB's talking about. Now, say you're arguing with the lady in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically. And there's one way where you can go, hey, look, I don't really want to talk about this right now. I'm going to the bar. I need to relax, right? I'm gonna take a drive, or I'm gonna go out, hit some golf balls, do it. Excuse me, do whatever I do. Or you can be like AB said, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now. No, you need to talk about it. You know what? Fuck you then, bitch. Nah, I don't want to talk about this shit. We'll talk about this shit later when I'm ready.
And then do it in front of people and then be like, y'all, look at this hoe. Fuck this bitch.
Yeah.
Like, in front of everybody, and then just start running off. Like, you know, like.
And that's what AB did. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just saying, hey, all right, I'm just gonna stay on the bench for the rest of the game.
Get myself a job.
Right. And people gonna say, AB, how come you didn't play in the second half? Oh, I got cut. I'm no longer on this team. And they go, oh, what happened? Blah, 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 blah. And now it's at AB. I mean, it's at BA instead of AB. You know what I'm saying? Oh, BA, AB. I like that. So instead of now, when you and your girl get into it and you go, fuck that shit. Nah, bitch, I ain't talking to you. Man, look at this bitch. See how she acting. We ain't talking right now. When you do that, your next conversation is no longer about what you were upset about and what you were walking away from because you knew you were upset. Now you're talking about how you publicly embarrassed me and how you disrespected me. You disrespected her.
You showed your ass and how you really feel about me too. And
right.
Like, yeah.
Because again, AB had a great point. He was like, bro, he didn't want me here. I knew he didn't want me here. He made it very clear he didn't want me here. And then he gonna say all this stuff about me and talk to me this way. So it's like, fuck you. Right. And I think one of the things
I'm only here because Tom's here anyways. You guys would have never signed me if anybody else was the quarterback. You guys could have had Aaron Rodgers and I wouldn't have been on the team.
Right. And I think one of the terrible things about our culture is our black culture champions fuck that. Yeah, AB. Fuck him. He ain't going to talk to you like that. And it's like, yeah, you have a certain level of self-respect as a grown man, grown woman, whoever you are. But there's also a certain way to approach those situations when you're not in a place of power. You got to understand, like, Bow Wow put something on his story today. He was like, I wake up and do whatever I want to do. He's like, I wake up and do whatever I want to do. A lot of people aim to be that place. And that's truly what we aim to be. A place where we can just wake up and do whatever we want to do.
For sure.
But when you're not in that place, I talked about it on the pod last night. You have to just shut up. You have to conform and fight. You know what I mean? Like, you have to conform to the environment in which you're in, and you have to fight to either change that environment or change your standing in that environment or change your environment totally so that you can have the leverage to do what it is that you want to do.
Exactly. And most people have got to realize that, like, something my dad told me a long time ago, you got to give up some ass to get some. At the end of the day, that's always going to be the case unless you're born into a billionaire family and something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for the most part, you're going to have to give up some ass to get some ass. And it's the same thing, even with the betting, for instance, that I can just talk about firsthand. You're going to have to because first of all, for the most part, you're going to lose more than you win anyways. We're not God. Nobody can predict everything perfectly. So you're going to lose more than you win. Now, the question is, when you win, how hard are you going to hit them? And so, like, you know, you got to really, really hit them hard, specifically with the betting. But, like, you know, everybody's going to take an L in general in life. And so you got to be prepared. How do you respond to taking that L? What do you take something away from it? Or do you just, you know, what did Jalen Hurts say earlier this year? Or do you just, you know, do you flush the deuce down the toilet? Like, what's your reaction to that L? That's going to help build that next W, and then it's going to show just how much you appreciate winning. You know what I mean? Kirby, I think that it made this national championship that much more sweeter for the Dogs because Kirby, he knew that they could beat them because they kept having them in positions where they were going to beat them, and they just didn't finish. But what did he do? What did they do this past game? They finished as hard as they could. Kirby's like, go down. Ringo, he's fucking running it back. He said, nah, coach, we're going to finish this game. Like, you know what I mean? If I can run this back, I'm going to run it back. And what did he do? He ran it back.
And here's the crazy thing. I'm willing to bet you that Kirby said all year, you know, like Mark Richt used to say it, finish the drill, right? That was one of his things, finish the drill. Kirby's like
Christian man.
Huh?
I said that great Christian man that Mark Richt was.
Yeah.
Right, the community just loved it because Mark Richt was a likable guy. Like,
he's a likable guy, but he was not a championship coach, and that played out over his time.
That's why he didn't have one. Yeah.
Right. But Kirby was telling them, hey man, when you smell water, when you smell blood in the water, you attack. You don't wait, you attack. And although Kirby in that moment is saying get down, but I promise you, weeks leading up to that, months leading up to that, spring training, training camp, all of that was finish it. And that's what we did. You know, so
there was doubt if he had went down, there was doubt because they still had the time. They still had 3 timeouts. He goes down.
And they got Bryce Young.
And they got the ball. And they have the Heisman winner at quarterback.
We got Bryce Young. We got Stetson Bennett. You know, you talk about finishing the play, right? And finishing the game. Let's talk about a team that did a terrible job.
I like that.
Absolutely terrible job of finishing. Hey. Like Dallas. They lose for a lot of reasons. For one, they got dominated the entire game. Then Jimmy G turned into Jimmy G in the second half, and he gave him an opportunity. Dak was Dak. You know, he wasn't what you wanted him to be, but he wasn't bad. What's up?
But now I was just going to say, by the way, it should have never even gotten to that point. I'm going to stand here, and I'll take this to my grave. Deebo Samuel's got a first down, in my opinion. Even when they slow motion and the elbows or the knee was down, that ball was on the line. They got a first down.
Well, even if Deebo didn't, if Jimmy
G over, Dallas wasn't getting the ball back.
If Jimmy G just let Trent Williams get set for the quarterback sneak.
Oh yeah. Well, there was that play too. Yeah.
But then Mike, like the press conference is what really killed it for me with Dallas, and that's why I'm calling them Dopey Dallas. They're the most penalized team of the league, right? Most total penalties, and they were like
they also have the most turnover. They
were second in penalty yards, but it was like I think 10 yards difference between them and the first team. So you were the most penalized team. You were the most undisciplined team. As we see with the Packers right now, Mike McCarthy is a minus, not a plus. And I came on here with you and said earlier in the season, if I'm Jerry Jones, I fire Mike McCarthy because I see the talent I have on my sideline, and I see that my coach is not maximizing my talent. That's what I felt before this happened, because Mike McCarthy has proven year in and year out that time management is not on his side. So he doubles down in the initial press conference after the game, and then Dak does that bullshit. And we'll talk about Dak later, and praising the fans for throwing trash at the officials. Like, hey, the officials were trash, yes.
He apologized.
But Dak, y'all are trash. Like, y'all have no discipline. You're not a trash team, but your discipline is trash. But let's listen to Mike McCarthy today.
The only thing that we talked about, Dak and I, was, put a yard limit on it. Cut it to 10 yards. I mean, that's probably going to be the adjustment that we make. We had great confidence in that situation, because we were just trying to get inside the 30-yard line for the change the play call for the final play. So that's the right call based on our preparation. It's a 13-second threshold is the call. So at 14 seconds, it's, in my view, the right call.
So hold on, Mike McCarthy, you double down on your dumb decision because you're the smartest man in the room. You say, hey, everybody in the football world is saying, yeah, 18 seconds, 19 seconds, 17 seconds, 20 seconds. And you go, no, ours is 14 seconds. So we're going to run a 13-second play. We're going to spike the ball, then run another play. You're not going to get the other play. If you're going to spike the ball into 0, and then you're going to run off the field like you ended up doing. Like, if everything happens perfectly, you're asking for perfection in a game with humans. You're asking for perfection in a game with humans. You are asking for perfection. When is the standard perfection? Yes, Bill Belichick says, do your job, do your job. But part of each person doing their job is covering up if someone else doesn't do their job, right? That's part of someone else's job, right? Because you run a business, right?
Yeah.
You do everything you can not to have a single point of failure, right?
You want to do everything to minimize it.
Right.
You know that there's certain things that are going to happen.
Right. Just like if you have a bad quarterback, it doesn't matter how good your team is. He is going to be your single point of failure at some point, right? You can't do anything about it, even though if you build up everything around him. So some things are inescapable. But the idea is that you create a team, you create a business, you create a foundation, whatever project it is you're working on, you create something that goes, well, if this doesn't work, we can do this. Last week, we couldn't go live, right? Because I was having video issues. But we still recorded the podcast because we could still get the audio, right?
Absolutely.
Because we weren't going to let bad internet stop us from putting these picks out here to the world. No single point of failure. Let's be real. You can do this podcast by yourself if I get fucking sick and we just needed, hey, if it's nothing but recap, preview, picks, right?
Yeah.
You don't need me. And if you, what a few weeks ago, you couldn't video in and we called, right? No single point of failure. Why are we doing this at a level for recreation that we're trying to monetize? Sponsors, if you're listening, yes, we're trying to monetize this. When Mike McCarthy gets paid millions, Dak gets paid millions, Kellen Moore gets paid millions, and he's supposed to be the whiz kid next head coach that's going to turn a franchise around, and he doesn't even know how to fucking execute his play sheet properly. And they go, we called the perfect play at the perfect time that demanded perfection for us to win a game. The fuck out of here.
Yeah, I demanded perfection. Yeah, look, it's McCarthy being McCarthy. We have seen this is a guy, like I kind of told you in the pre-production meeting here, my mom used to look at him and say, man, he just looks like a hick. And, when you look at Mike McCarthy speak and you kind of look at him, it is kind of like this dude that's like, man, what do you have going on up there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just look like you're kind of just staring blankly into the crowd and you're just kind of, trying to give an explanation for something that we all know is stupid as fuck. It's 14 seconds left in the game. Throw the ball. You could have ran 3 plays, but you decided to do the one that potentially could have, in the worst case scenario, you would have not gotten another playoff without even taking a shot to the end zone. Own it, and let it be. And let it be known that, it probably wasn't our best play call, and I take full responsibility for that. Look, I'm sure Jerry likes people that are accountable. I know that a lot of people do. I like it when people are accountable. Certainly when they're wrong, you'll take accountability for when you were right, so take it when you're wrong. And, no, he wants to dance around it. Dak wants to, applaud fans for throwing shit at the officials. It could have been, I thought that the way that the ref came up, he should have been there well before that. And I definitely do think that, that certainly knocked off a second or two for sure. But at the same time, you don't even put yourself in that position if you run that play. Like, why are you running that? What are you running that play for? You've got 14 seconds. You can legitimately get 3 plays off, maybe even 4 if you're good enough. Like,
They could have ran a post to the same place on the field, and they could have got a second playoff.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I just didn't understand it. And, Mike, I guess Jerry will make the decision here soon, but certainly you've got 2 coordinators that once they're gone, I think on both sides of the ball, you're going to take a step back. Because what's going to happen? What? Are the Cardinals going to fire Kliff, and then Kliff takes the OC job with what's going to happen there? Or, like we kind of spoke about earlier, is Sean Payton potentially a guy that's in on it? Even if you pulled a Herm Edwards type thing when Herm Edwards got traded from the Jets to the Chiefs. Do you remember that? He got traded. You could always trade. The Saints could trade Sean Payton for like a 2, maybe even a 1. Who knows? Like, it depends on how much Dallas really values.
Sean Payton is worth a 1.
For sure. I think Doc Rivers got traded from the Celtics to the Clippers for a while.
Like,
And
like Sean Payton is on. You're bringing up a great topic here. Like, let's think about coaches who are worth like legitimate draft picks. Like Sean, 5-1s.
I don't think anyone would mortgage their next 5 years just because of how old he is.
Fair. But if we're saying Bill Belichick 5 years ago, just 5 years ago, is it worth mortgaging
the greatest coach in NFL history? Yeah,
for 5-1s. I mean, come on, man. Look what Carson Wentz got a 1. Carson Wentz got a fucking 1.
5 years ago, if you're a 3-13 team talent wise, Belichick probably brings you to 500. You probably, because you're overly prepared, and then obviously you have to take into account, even though they've done a pretty good job. I know that their teams have always seemed a little mediocre. He still coaches guys up. Like, there are guys that have been undrafted that are Pro Bowlers for him.
Look at that 7-9 team from last year with Cam Newton. They were 3 plays away from being 9-7.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton.
I blame Josh McDaniels for that Seahawks call.
Cam Newton skips rocks. Like, he doesn't throw passes, he's out there skipping rocks.
What was Cam Newton this year? 0-6, 0-5 as a starter?
I think he was over.
Yeah, he definitely didn't win. I'm just trying to think, did they lose about 4 or 5? Basically, the Panthers became a shit show, which, I mean, they weren't really that talented to begin with. That 3-0 shit was a fugazi.
Well, Matt Rule's overrated. The media likes him, kind of like Brandon Staley.
Well, Tepper has no other choice because he gave him all that fucking money to come there, so he really can't even fire him now. I mean, he could. I guess he's the richest owner, right? I think they say he's the richest owner.
Yeah, Tepper, Kroenke, they're both up there. Like,
he doesn't really so I guess he doesn't technically have a. I mean, he could. He's rich enough to just pay him to not be there, but nobody wants to do that. That is probably the worst mistake you can make in business. If you're in a position where you're paying somebody to not work for you.
Oh, you
think about that. You got a motherfucker on payroll.
You talking about the Giants who are still paying? They're paying like 2 or 3 coaches right now.
Kansas is still McAdoo, Judge. They're not playing Coughlin. Coughlin was before McAdoo, right? No, Shermer. Yeah.
I think they're paying all 3 of them.
Well, think about it. Kansas is still. I think Notre Dame might be done, but Kansas is still paying Charlie Weiss to this day. It's fucking crazy. I'm in the wrong industry.
And nobody should have paid him after fucking New England, if we're being honest.
Well, no, certainly after Notre Dame, you knew that, like, oh man, no way. You know?
Oh man, Ty Willingham's players have left. We're not good anymore.
Well, and more important, think about it. How much hype Brady Quinn had. People forget that Brady Quinn. A lot of people thought Brady Quinn slid in that.
Oh yeah, people were
he was going to be the first pick.
He was compared to Aaron Rodgers based off of his slide.
Yeah, because it kept showing him in there. You know, he's got the suit on, he's got the hair, and it's just like, you know, and everybody knew who Brady Quinn was. You know, he's quarterback in Notre Dame, and it's just one of those things. But hopefully, Dallas makes the right decision. They should fire Mike McCarthy because you're going to lose both of your coordinators if you don't. If you like one of your coordinators a lot, I would probably hire one of them. I don't know how DQ would
I'd hire DQ, make him a top paid coach, not because I think he is one of the best coaches in the league, but so that I can give Kellen Moore I can give him a head coaching salary as the OC to stay.
Yep.
And your OC can't make more than your head coach. But Kellen Moore is not ready to be a head coach. I think he will be a good offensive coordinator in a few years. He just needs reps, man. He's my age. He's fucking my age.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Troy had to say, though?
No. During the game?
No, about the Dallas game after.
I guess, yeah.
He didn't get that game. They gave it to Romo. I'm pretty sure Troy made a phone call to Jerry, like, hey, Jerry, Tony, really? What did he get
you? Right.
But Troy.
And I know you did. I know you know what network you can get on.
Right. Like, come on.
Hell, you typically play on Fox anyways.
Right. You're
and it's true, and the NFC in general lives on Fox.
Yeah, and he's Jerry.
You guys could have threw Brady on CBS. He's used to playing on CBS. Like
that bullshit. But Romo's good. Nance is
just boring. It's just vanilla, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's bad. I just think it's vanilla.
Yeah,
and obviously, I think we've already talked about picture quality being.
Yeah, the pictures was terrible.
Yeah, and then the music. I just prefer the da-da-da-da-da to the what is CBS?
Doesn't even matter because we don't remember.
Yeah.
But hey, look,
Bill Cowher after the game's talking. James Brown, like
James Brown, that terrible hairline, and Boomer Esiason with his coded racism.
And then is Phil Sims still there? Nate Burleson?
Yeah, Phil's in the boot.
Or no, it's Bart Scott.
It depends because Nate Burleson is like bigger than football now. He's like more than
he's Nickelodeon. He's NFL Network. And Nate Burleson was like this
FCA
solid pro. He was solid. He was all right. He was never a Pro Bowler or anything, but
he was in the FCA magazine. But look, anyway, listen to this though. Troy came out and said, "Yeah, and it's kind of going to take us into the scheme versus players versus scheme conversation, right?" Because Troy was like, "Yeah, they just kept single covering CeeDee Lamb, and
I didn't hear it, but I read it. Yeah, I read that he said that they needed to throw him the ball.
He was like, if Irvin was single cover, he's going to have 10 receptions by halftime, and that takes me to what we see so often in the NFL is these nerd coaches, these Kellen Moores, not Shanahan's, because Shanahan schemed it up. Andy Reid schemed it up, right? They get so caught up in their scheme that they don't realize who's on the field. And, sometimes it's great to run this amazing play with these triple rub routes and this flick back, flea flicker that catches the defense off guard. But sometimes you go, hey, my man is better than the man on that side of the field. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to give it to him. Look what the Rams
until they make it.
Until they stop. Look what the Rams did this year. They force-fed Cooper Kupp. They said, you know what? Cooper Kupp has a matchup we like. Matt Stafford, when you see that, hit him. And then
the Falcons used to do it with Julio.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason Michael Thomas has the record because he could run a slant every play and y'all couldn't stop it because Drew Brees could hit his third step and the ball is right there on his fucking hands. But you get these coaches who get so caught up in being these whiz kids and their scheme. And McVay, he fell into it at one point this season where he was loving Matt Stafford too much. It was like, hey, bro, run the ball. I get you got these cool gadgets here, but you need to run the ball because that works. And there's this balance between players and scheme because I think if you have the best players in the worst scheme, you're going to lose. But I also think if you have the best scheme and the worst players, you're not going to win a championship. The coach can only extract so much out of the players, and that New England Patriots, they're the best scheme team in the league, both sides of the ball. If we're going to take like a poll of offense, defense, special teams, all three aspects of the game, who is the best coach team? It's definitely the Patriots.
For sure.
But their players just weren't good enough. And Josh Allen, mama, there goes that man, kicked their ass. So where do you fall on players versus scheme? Like if you had to choose one, what would you rather have? The X's and O's or the Jimmys and the Joes?
I mean, of course, the easy answer is you need both, right? But I'm of the belief that you can get more out of a team with a better scheme, as opposed to knowing that you're just more talented. If your scheme is great, it will automatically make the players better, if that makes any sense, because you're putting them in a better position to be successful. And so I would probably, I know it's not a popular answer, I'd probably take the scheme. And, you look at, and I hate to keep having to draw to the NBA. I know they're older, but at the end of the day, most people on paper, when you look at the Lakers, you're like, man, it's a lot of guys on here, like, that can do stuff. They're just old, kind of. Like, they're kind of old. Like, how old is Russ? Russ is probably 32, 33.
32, 33, yeah.
He still should be in the prime of his career.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be hitting that wall until for another 2 years, in reality. And, I mean, he had a great year even last year. But my point in even saying that is look at that team that's got all this talent. And they just and it might just not be a good fit. But, like, I mean, I think a part of its scheme, too, is like the kind of the offense they're running. It's impossible to run an offense with two guys that fucking need the ball in their hand You know, even with LeBron, like he's not a spot up shooter, but obviously LeBron I would say he's a solid 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he's a good 3-point shooter.
LeBron does nothing bad except he has always been, for whatever reason, a bad free throw shooter. And that's like the one thing that LeBron's never improved on. I don't know why that is, but LeBron has never, like, his free throw shooting has always been between 70 and like 77. Like,
free throws are mental, man, and he, similar to A-Rod, is better than everybody, but he gets in his head. And I hate to give Skip Bayless some credit here, but Skip Bayless is right. He's like, yo, when LeBron like catches the ball with like 2 seconds and he doesn't have to think about what he's doing and he just plays, that's the best LeBron. Like, he doesn't have to think about it because he's so smart that it's paralysis by analysis. But I'm happy you brought it to basketball because I was going to take it to Olympic basketball where
there you go. There's the talent.
The United States are not the best coach team. And I'm not saying that they're not the best coach.
They had Pop, though.
No, and it's not because of the coaches. I'm not saying because of the coaches, right? It's because of the amount of time that they spend with the coaches. It's with the coaches actually putting their scheme in versus the players playing. But guess what? We win gold in the Olympics damn near every year because we have the best players. Like, sorry, we got all pros coming off the bench. We got guys flying in from the finals coming off the bench. You got guys who played in the Euro finals, you know what I mean, like coming off your bench.
At one point with the Olympic basketball, you had MVPs coming off your bench.
Bro, remember in 2012 when we had Kobe, LeBron, KD, Melo on the same? Like, come on, bro.
And Melo's the all-time Olympian, right? You know, well, if there's one place that he's never showed up, he shows up there.
Well, because the 3-point is a mid-range shot for Melo.
Well, and then when you got Kobe Bryant, who, for the most part, nobody is guarding one-on-one, and LeBron James, somebody that you're not guarding one-on-one, it's KD. Like, you got to decide who the fuck do you want to. If there's gonna be one nigga that's gonna get the shots, who are you on? And think about it, out of those 4, I would probably say
Melo.
That's great. And think about it, I think that Carmelo is a top 5 scorer all time. Like in terms of scoring the ball.
Peak Melo. I like early New York Melo where he still had a little bit of bounce, but he had a little bit of gut too.
Yes. Well, where I remember when they played the Lakers in the West Finals, Melo he could get on the post and just, really go to work on Powell. It didn't matter who was down there with him. He was, you know what I mean? He was using his body and fucking getting easy ass. Those 2-hand layups when you back somebody in and then you get it up. Yeah, that's like what Melo used to love doing.
If I have a kid who wants to play basketball, and they're going to be forced basketball when they're young, and then we'll let them make decisions as they get older, right? You're going to go on YouTube. You're going to watch Melo footwork, Melo head fakes. Like, this is a football podcast. Let's talk about
we do need to get the basketball one back going. We only did the opener and then
we're after the Super Bowl.
We're about the midseason report.
We may do.
We think the All-Stars are,
I've been meaning to send something to that group actually to say, hey, bro, we need to get a basketball pod going, and my life has slowed down to where I've been traveling. Had the lady in town. I just haven't had time to like really consume everything I need to consume to do a responsible podcast. But let's talk about the KKK. It's time to kill Kyler and Kliff. Not literally.
Let me tell you, the KKK, they definitely looked like it out there. They look like ghosts because they fucking work there.
I don't know if Kyler. It takes me to Django where they had the mask on, they couldn't see.
Yeah,
the whole, that was Kyler.
That was damn near how he looked for sure.
So I put in our group.
Arguably the worst pick six I've ever seen.
Bro, Carson Wentz was like,
he looked like Nathan Peterman throwing that bitch. No, Carson Wentz is that's too good of a compliment for the interception. Because at least Carson would have went down with an injury in the midst of that play. he looked like Nathan Peterman. He looked like he just. I mean, even the other team is kind of like, they catching. They're kind of surprised. They're like,
the buddy from the Rams like, oh, I caught. Oh, this is right here for me.
right.
If I'm Steve Keim, no, we're doing our exit interview. I'm like, hey, Kliff,
you're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
You're an OC.
Because here's the thing: he's an OC. If you look at all of his teams historically, they don't finish the season strong. And I look at Kyler, even though Kyler is extremely gifted.
I don't think he's the guy.
He's not. If you look at Kyler and Kliff, do you say, can I win a Super Bowl with you two? I say, hell no.
Fun to watch.
Like, unless I can get Lincoln up here.
Well, Link can be bought.
Yeah, but what is that buyout? I'm not dropping that money.
I don't know, but people, hey, they're billionaires.
Yeah. But unless I'm getting
$10 million,
because I mean, even in that game Monday, you got Kyler limping around and all of this shit. Like, dude, you're 5'9.5", 5'10", 207 soaking wet. Yo, you're not. Go to the athletics, man. You're not a NFL quarterback at your size. And year in and year out, it keeps showing. He gets hurt. He gets dinged. He missed games this year. He couldn't finish last season strong. And granted, it was his first playoff game. But if you want to talk about Oklahoma quarterbacks, I'm more optimistic in Jalen Hurts being a long-term successful quarterback than I am Kyler Murray. And I think Kyler Murray is more skilled, but he's 5'9". Same reason why I never believed in Isaiah Thomas, little IT for the Celtics. Hey, you're 5 foot. People who are smaller than me don't succeed in any pro sport except for baseball and tennis.
Yeah, Jose Altuve being like, probably the best example, because
right.
Jose Altuve is like 5'6" or 5'7". He's short as shit. But boy, that son of a bitch can hit that ball.
Especially when he got the speaker in his ear.
You mean the trash cans?
Yeah,
but
yeah, glad we beat them in the World Series.
Everybody was. The Braves truly were America's team again.
Yeah, I mean, we're a state of champions. All of you people were force-fed the Braves throughout your whole lives because Ted Turner put him on his national network.
They were winning games, though.
Yeah.
Even during that, I mean, they were always winning games, so nobody could be too upset at the product, right? They won games. Like, the Braves were a 90 winner. 90. Yeah, they were winning 90 to, 98 games a year.
So what do you think we go with Kyler and Kliff? Do we kill them or do we keep them?
Arizona's got to do some soul searching because you bought in those oldies, those old heads. You replaced Fitz with AJ, and AJ showed a little life. You brought in Ertz, who came on very strong once you added him. He was a great addition. I enjoyed them getting him. I thought that he was a really good tight end to get. JJ is the tread's off the tires, man. He there's no more tread there. He gets injured every year. He still can be impactful, I guess, but my goodness, he has got to be a rotation guy. He's got to be like what Dwight Freeney was for the Falcons the year.
You know what JJ Watt is? He's a classic Benz, like a classic 80s Benz, right? Like your Beverly Hills Cop shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you actually drove it until 2022. You know what I mean? Like, it looks good, but
pristine condition.
You're just hoping to make it out of the parking lot before the chicks realize that, like, you're going to the dealership tomorrow and you're about to drop $5,000 just to get this bad boy back running.
And that still might not fix it the way it needs to be fixed because it's just got too much mileage on it.
Yeah.
And so I think
it's like that old girl we used to like, who's used to be a good time, and now it's like, oh golly.
Well, to quote Gunna, Mr. P himself, he said, "Yeah." He's like, that chick you cuffing is cute. He said, but that P got too many miles on it, and so. you know, it's cute, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the value of it's decreased. And so for them, for Kliff and Kyler, I think that they've got to do some serious soul searching. I think we brought this up briefly in the chat a little bit, that I think ideally at this point, if you're Kliff and you want to save your job, I know you like Kyler because you took the job because of it and you lied to Josh Rosen and said, yeah, Josh is our quarterback, knowing goddamn well that you were going to fucking trade for the number 1 pick and draft Kyler Murray. I think if they want to execute something like this, I bet the Houston Texans would take Kyler, who apparently Kyler Murray, based on, I remember ESPN had an article up about this like a few weeks ago. They like ranked Kyler Murray like as the greatest Texas high school quarterback ever. So he's like,
right, he is like I don't think he's lost a football game in the state of Texas in his entire life.
Texas loves Kyler Murray. Yeah, hell, he beat the fuck out of the Cowboys like 3 weeks ago. I remember that game. And that game was in Dallas. And so, like, you know, you want something in return for him. Hell, you got J.J. Watt already, and you got Nuke Hopkins. The Arizona Cardinals were already becoming the Arizona Texans. Go ahead and complete the trifecta and just trade Kyler for D. Watt. Kyler gets to go back. Kyler gets more time to, you know, become, I guess, whatever he's going to be. He gets to go back home. He'll get his payday because Houston will pay him. Because if you're going to trade Deshaun Watson, you're going to probably pay Kyler Murray. They're going to pay him. So he'll get paid. He'll get to be home. I don't know what part of Texas he's from, if it's closer to Houston or Dallas or Austin.
I think he's like a Dallas guy. He's like from Allen, Texas, some shit like that.
Okay, so either way, he's not going to be the Cowboys quarterback. But, like, he still is from that state. He gets to go back to the state of Texas. D. Watt gets a fresh lease on life in Arizona. Russ might, he gets to play with Nuke. JJ might be there. Who knows? And you get to bring back, Russ might be gone from Seattle. It opens up, to where now you finally got that one team that you're going to sweep every year. And the Rams at the end of the day, even though they got all that talent, they got to figure out if they're going to pay Odell Beckham. Von Miller, another guy that's, I know he got a sack in the last game, but like another guy that's kind of at the end of his career a little bit. Like, like you can tell like he's not who he used to be anymore.
A fringe team's going to overpay Von at the end of this offseason. And it's going to be, is Von trying to get another ring, or is Von trying to
just one last payday?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But yeah, I kind of like that one. Just move him to Houston because shit, it's not going to work in Arizona.
And then, depending on what ownership feels like, you can either let Kliff do one more year with D. Watt and see what happens, or, I don't know who you could go get necessarily.
Hey, Deshaun wanted Bieniemy.
Nobody sold on him because Andy Reid's the one that's calling the plays. Like, so it's just kind of like, is he coming up with a game plan? Like, what does Bieniemy do?
Well, let's be real. Matt Nagy wasn't a bad head coach. He had Ryan Pace as a GM, and he probably and when he had Vic Fangio as his DC, who's the adult in the room, who's been in the league forever, they were running a good operation up there. So, like, I don't think the Andy Reid coaching tree is a bad coaching tree. Obviously, it's not, because his protege
coaching trees.
Yeah, his protege won a Super Bowl before he did. Doug Peterson. So, like, the coach
Doug's gonna get a job. I think Doug's gonna be in Jacksonville.
I want better for Doug, but you know what? I want this for Trevor Lawrence because he's a Cartersville product, and he deserves better coaching than fucking Herb. Mister.
But Doug's gonna at least restore respectability to that Jacksonville franchise. A guy like Doug would do that,
A franchise that hasn't been respected since its infancy, when they had Fred Taylor and Mark Brunell, if we're being honest.
Yeah. And who's the wide receiver?
McCardell or Smith?
Smith. But yeah, they had Cardell too. Yeah.
And McCardell, he
Then
killed
McCardell,
the Falcons when he went with the Bucks. But it sounds like you want Kliff out of town. You want Kyler out of town. I probably bring Kliff back for one more year.
And I'm saying, you might probably give him one more shot.
Let him finish his contract out, and we decide if we're going to re-sign him because
he is terrible at in-game adjustments.
Oh God, yeah. He almost lost to Detroit this year, didn't he? Like, you remember that stupid?
They got steamed by Detroit.
You're right. You remember that field goal? You remember that field goal he went for, like at the end of the second half of the first half against Detroit? It's like, and they like almost kicked six, or they either like returned it. Like,
you're talking about Jacksonville.
That's right. Jacksonville.
Did that. They did do it, in Jacksonville ran it back.
It's like, bro, Kliff? Why did you kick that? Like, that was stupid.
Because he wanted to see Matt Prater kick a 68-yard field goal.
Bro, he's not Justin Tucker.
Matt Prater's got a strong leg.
But he's not Tucker.
Yeah, he's not the best kicker in the NFL. Right.
So
Matt Prater, funny enough, Matt Prater started off on the Falcons in preseason. I remember seeing him because he was the first kicker I ever saw with a tattoo. Fun fact of the day. But he was on the Falcons. That was the first NFL team that he played for, was the Falcons.
All right, so before we get into predicting this week, where do you want to go? Awful officiating or expansion, ain't it?
The expansion, just because I know we both disagree kind of on this.
All right, so let's set the table here. Nobody likes to eat without a fucking table that's set. Even if you eat on dinner trays every night, it's nothing like sitting at a set table with napkins and all those forks and spoons that you're not going to use. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, especially for date night.
Makes you feel like you're at a restaurant, especially if you're at home.
Yeah, bro, that's just super P. Anyways, you look at the BCS. People used to get mad at the BCS in college because we always didn't like the two teams that played. And oftentimes we feel like one team got left out, especially if there's 3 unbeatens or there's 2 unbeatens and one one-loss team. That one-loss team played a tough schedule.
It was damn near the NBA draft, but for a championship.
Right. But
computer did it,
But usually we crown the right champion.
Always.
We crown the right champion. That's the thing.
What did Macho Man Randy Savage say? He said the cream will always rise to the top.
And
he's really high in that clip too. If you look it up. Anyone that wants to check that out, just type in Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream of the crop.
So we expanded the college football playoff to 4. And we usually see in that first round that 2 teams get fucking routed, boat race, killed. And it's like, why are they here? And then the next
we saw 4 of them this week.
Huh?
We saw 4 of them this week.
I'm talking about college football right now.
Oh, well, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, first round. And then we get the best 2 teams and they play against each other. And then we crown a national champion. And we're always happy with that champion. NFL decided last year to expand to a 7-team playoff. It's the second year of it. And so now the 2 seed is shit, if we're being honest. Like, being the 1 seed gets you the bye, but being a 2 seed is like nothing. And don't get me wrong, I love more football to watch. But at what cost? Like, week 17 was a weird week that there was drama there, but because of week 17, we had Pittsburgh in the fucking or week 18, we had Pittsburgh in the playoffs and not the fucking Chargers,
who was a better team and would have played a much better game against the Chiefs. Yeah.
And if the Chargers gets in at 7, as long as Brandon Staley doesn't get in the way of his good team, maybe we have a legitimate 7 seed that changes my argument. But the fucking first round of the playoffs, the underdogs get dogged. Favorites win, and for the most part cover. Mm-hmm. And then the underdogs that win, like San Fran's the underdog because they're playing on the road and they started off slow.
Well, and they played the Cowboys.
And they played the Cowboys, who, it's the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy. And then again, San Fran was hot at the end of the year, so they're like the Eli Giants, the Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl winning Packers that go, this team doesn't have the best record, but this team can beat anybody here. And I still feel that way about San Fran today. Like, if San Fran goes to the Super Bowl,
they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and in that Super Bowl, they were up 10 points with 8 minutes left. So
right, and
both the same guys. It's except running back Mostert got hurt at the beginning of the season, so he's not chosen the rock. But any running back can run in a Kyle Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan offense running backs are interchangeable parts because that's the best. Some of the best play callers this league has ever fucking seen. Kyle and Mike.
Look at and I mean Terrell Davis, damn good dog, by the way. Shout out to Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was a special teams player that got bursted into the spotlight and became an MVP, Hall of Famer, all for running back. Yeah, but I'm just saying. But think about it. He was like a 6th-round pick that was playing special teams, and
right.
Look at him, and so the Shanahan offense is built around that zone run that got Devontae Freeman. Paid by us, got Tevin Coleman paid by the 49ers, which Kyle gave him another shot, which I don't know why that didn't work out too well, but Tevin's still in the league getting paid by the Jets, so. I
mean, shit, got Clinton Portis paid, got Bale, I can't even think of his first name out there. And Tatum Bale, like a lot of running backs get paid running that offense.
McGahee looked great when he was with Denver.
Yeah, but look.
Think about Jake Plummer. Jake Plummer played in an AFC Championship game against Tom Brady with Mike Shanahan as the coach.
Yeah, because fucking Shanahan can coach his ass off. We talk about, and I know that Shanahan
would be a head coach if somebody wanted to kick the tires on him.
Probably, and he's probably not interested in head coach. He's probably just interested in helping.
Gary Kubiak, that whole because Gary Kubiak is a big reason why the Texans were when they got Matt Schaub
and
Kubiak, Aaron Foster and Andre Johnson, of course, but like.
And Kubiak won the Super Bowl with Denver, and then he went up to Minnesota and helped them running their offense too.
Oh man, Mike Shanahan has grade.
Bro, so Shanahan, although he is
he looks kind of old. That says 2021 is the picture date,
and he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, is he?
Oh, he will be. He'll get in. His influence, let alone obviously him having 2 Super Bowls, his influence alone.
Think about it.
The Washington football team. I know they made the playoffs last year, but when they got RG3, and they made the playoffs that year, he that was when his career ended, his rookie season.
You talking about the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Aaron LaFleur coaching staff?
Yeah.
And now they
got 3 of those coaches playing in the Final Four for the conference. It's amazing.
Yeah, man. But I say all of that to get us back to.
He's 69, by the way. I don't think that.
What a position.
He probably won't coach again.
Nah, he doesn't have it in him.
I'd make him a guy in the front office, though.
I think
doesn't know how to kind of identify talent, too.
I think he's an unofficial guy for Kyle. Like, I think he's.
Yeah, I'm sure that just like most people, you talk to your dad. With the business I do, my dad is the one that was doing it before me, and now he's retired, but whenever I need, he's like the chairman of the board for me. Mm-hmm. And I go to him whenever I need
I think Mike is either at practice or he's still crunching film.
Because you don't get away from football.
No. He's gonna
Madden. I bet Madden's old ass was fucking analyzing film, watching every Sunday.
Did I talk about how Madden was I used to hang out in Madden's neighborhood all the time?
Yeah, you said that they would say that he would take walks and stuff.
Yeah.
Go for a jog. He might run into old man Madden.
But we got off topic like we normally do. But man, look, this 7th team, it's another football game that we're gonna watch, but it's not necessary. It just ain't it.
More football better. I don't think that it waters down the product. And I say that too, just because kind of like in the pre-production when we were talking, like I said, it's not like we had losing teams in the playoffs or anything. So you're getting some winning teams in. Now, granted, it kind of makes it to where it's like the NBA to where half the league gets in. Basically at that point, right? There's 32 teams in the NFL. You've got 14 teams that get in. So, you're 2 away from it being half the league getting into the playoffs.
And we're eventually going to have an 18 playoff before it's over.
you'll at least get to. I don't know. They're not going to want to get rid of that bye because then what's the point of being the 1 seed at that point? You know.
Well, the NFLPA sucks, so it doesn't matter. The owners want more money.
But no, for sure. I think that I like the 7 teams. And like I said, I just enjoy the extra football. It gets one more team to play even harder at the end of the season. I look back at it, and I look at some of the teams. You got to look back some of these years. I mean, the year before, or no, was it? That was just last year. Last year was the first year of the 17. The 10-6 Dolphins didn't make it, and that might be the difference between Brian Flores still being the coach of the Dolphins, and they didn't make it in a 17 playoff. So we've had this happen many times. Lovie Smith and the Bears, I remember they went 10-6 one year. They didn't make it. I think Josh Freeman and the Bucks went 10-6 one year. They didn't make it. This happens a lot.
Matt Castle and the Pats went 10-6 and didn't.
They went 11-5.
11-5. You're right. They went 11-5
and you start talking about we've had a 13-3 Tennessee Titans or Indianapolis Colts be a 5 seed. I remember the year that the Jaguars is the year the Patriots went undefeated. I think the Jaguars actually it was Garrard and Leftwich, you know. That quarterback situation. But when Del Rio was running the show down there with MD Maurice Jones-Drew, MJD, you know, when he was jumping up out of sand and shit, you know what I mean?
Del Rio can fucking coach, by the way.
Is he DCing? He's where's he DCing?
I think
it wasn't the Raiders.
Washington.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He was the head coach at the Raiders the last time they went to the playoffs.
Right, in 2016. And then Carl wasn't playing, and they had like some
Connor Cook or
Booker. No, it was like a fucking butcher out there throwing the football. It wasn't Connor Cook. It was somebody else. It was some guy that I don't know. Most people would have thought he was sitting in the stands, and they were like, "Hey man, throw these pads on." Like
it should have been bagging groceries,
right? You know, Kurt Warner. But yeah. So I'm in favor of it. I like the 7-team expansion. You want to know what I don't like? I didn't like the additional game expansion. How about that? I don't like the idea of uneven games.
I'm not even.
I like the 16-game schedule. Plus, it fucks with records now. And I get it. You know, back in the 70s is when they expanded from 14 to 16. So there were records before that, whatever. But I guess if there's one expansion I didn't like, I like the playoff expansion. I didn't like the game expansion for the regular season.
I don't like it either, and the players don't like it either. And, you know, I understand that the players are playing for money and for passion.
And I'm going to assume they prorated it, right? For the guys that signed contracts prior to that year, that it was prorated into their contract, whatever their game check amount, they would get paid that, no?
I'd hope that, but I'm not going to assume that because those owners are some penny pinching thieves.
Yeah, but they're so fucking rich. I don't get it.
But all of them are so fucking rich, and they still want to add a game that most of their players don't want to play. Like Aaron Rodgers doesn't even want to fucking practice, and you're adding an extra game.
Well, you got to think about it too. Even for them, for some of those guys, they're like, hell, I'm not going to play in it anyways. If we done already locked up our playoff spot, I don't have to go out. Like Jalen Hurts, they were already in the playoffs. He didn't have to play. So, but I guarantee he got paid. I bet he got paid.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I bet the direct deposit hit, you know, so.
I bet it did too. So, you know, I don't want people to think that I'm not watching the extra games. I just say expansion ain't it because it's just not necessary. But, you know, a lot of things aren't necessary. Like dessert is rarely necessary, but we still eat it. I can't think of anything else.
I'm not a dessert person. I get what you're saying, though, just in general, just extra, you know?
Hey, you know what? Dessert is great on date night.
You know, I don't eat ice cream, and like a lot of that stuff is typically ice cream. Like there'll be ice cream, or it's like chocolate cake or something. I'm such a simpleton when it comes to that. Like, I mean, I'll eat sorbet, like, you know, but I'm damn near lactose intolerant. So it's, you know,
I am too, man. I'm more of the holiday at home dessert guy. I like little sweet potato pie. My grandmother does these great coconut pies, you know, a little peach cobbler. Like I'm more so into those desserts that you're not gonna get the
pound cake.
You like pound cake, really?
Yeah, I love pound cake.
Bro, you know
my mom used to make a hell of a pound cake.
Bro, you know I make a bomb ass pound cake.
Make it. I
You
want
know
to.
what? I'm gonna make one and actually bring it to your fucking house. Like I'm not.
No, seriously, I love pound cake. Like I love pound cake.
Like I don't think that's one of like my little known secrets that I don't tell people that I can like bake like shit.
You're a Southerner.
I think I'm gonna start posting like the food pics that I fucking make like on my Instagram now. Like I did a fucking
I make a great chili.
Do you?
I do. I make a hell of it. You can ask Jay Briggs too. He's had my chili. Like
I like
Justice,
chili.
I'll tell you, Justice, I make a really good chili.
I did a fucking tomahawk last Friday night.
A tomahawk steak.
Yes.
How many ounces? Like
it's about 18, 20. I reverse seared it on my grill.
Mm-hmm.
I had it on. I grilled it for about 50 minutes, and we switch sides every 10, and then we
give that good balance. That way, it doesn't get too charred, but it gets that coating that it does deserve, along with the flavor. Are you charcoal or what are you?
I'm gassed.
Wood pellets.
I'm gassed because it's convenient right now. I'm about to get me a wood pellet grill. I just haven't bought one. And then we brought it inside and we threw it on. We threw it in the cast iron for about 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes on each side. Oh man, you talk about like
chef's kiss.
Oh man, you talk about just nice pink goodness.
And what are you? Are you a medium or medium rare? I'm a medium rare guy.
I'm a medium rare guy.
Yeah,
I was raised right.
Well, and let me tell you, it's crazy. Well, I was a medium guy for probably up until I got to college. I was
a medium guy until I was about 23, 24.
Well, what it is people, when you ask for medium, they almost give you sort of medium well. So to be sure, medium rare will always be the correct answer.
I have some friends who are well done guys, and I'm like, what are you doing?
My dad likes his steak medium well. And so, but some of that could depend on where you're from. My dad's from the country. Like he's from the real country, like the Texas. There's no, people were talking about Stetson Bennett and there being 3 stop signs. There's no fucking stop signs where my dad's from. There is gravel road, and it's a small town outside of Waco. So it's like, it's like 5-10 minutes from Baylor, but it's a small town. And people like that, I feel like depending on where you're from, and then there's just some black people. I hate to blame because there's white people that like their shit well done too, but like
a lot of niggas.
Black people I know like their shit well done.
Yeah,
like sauce. I
want the raw meat. No. Like, bro, you lose so much flavor when you.
Well, and then just don't you want the tender goodness of this? I don't know.
Look. I got shit, man. Let's just talk about the divisional rounds, man. Like,
I know you get me hungry. I'm sitting here thinking about.
Yeah, I'm definitely thawing out a steak for this weekend because I'm in Albany. So we got Brady versus Stafford. We have Rodgers versus Shanahan. We have the Battle of the Titans, but the Titans aren't in that game. We have Mahomes versus Allen, and then we have
the shocking
versus my man, pink glasses, Joe Cool, who might be the coolest motherfucker in the NFL right now. That boy P.
That swag certainly fucking dripped over into the NFL.
Hey, so here's what we're gonna do. Pick one of the divisional round games you want to talk. I gotta piss.
Go ahead.
And just make sure you're on that game, and I'll pick back up when you.
Sure.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna start off with. We'll start off with that Titans game, Titans and Bengals. With the Bengals, you look at this team that wasn't expected to be here. They've arguably got not even arguably at this point, you got the rookie of the year in Jamar Chase, the quintessential wide receiver, exactly what you look for. You got Joe Cool and Joe Burrow, a guy that really, for what it's worth, the way that they finished the season, probably should have been a dark horse MVP candidate. You've got a Zach Taylor as the coach, a guy that's, kind of from that trip, McVay, Shanahan, the guys that are in the playoffs. Calls similar type offenses. And then they've got a scrappy defense. It's not the best in the league, but it's not a bad defense. It's not terrible. A lot of the games that they played this year, they shocked a lot of people. You know, they blew out Baltimore. They blew out Baltimore twice, actually. They blew out the Steelers. They pretty much dominated that division. They got blown out by the Browns once, but, you know, whatever. They still beat them the second time around. And, you know, they play a certain kind of offense that you look at and you say, wow, they're really, really explosive. And the Titans come into the game. You're looking at the Titans. The Titans are this team that doesn't really, you know, I know that a lot of people were impressed with the Titans earlier this year and how they played, you know, with Derrick Henry. They beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They beat, you know, basically these best teams. But you look at a team like the Bengals who come in, there's no pressure. They're honestly, I think, more talented on the offensive side of the ball, even with Derrick Henry in for the Titans. I think the Bengals are more talented offensively. The Titans' defense was definitely a lot better this year. They picked up kind of where they were before last year because they were one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year.
Couldn't rush the passer.
Yeah, they were, you know, they were in Falcon level defense. And so they were really bad considering Vrabel's, you know, got a defensive background, obviously, and he's a Belichick. Even though he was never coached under him, he's still a disciple of him because he was a player.
Right.
And I just look at this game and I just say, man, I like the Bengals. I think that we finally get that shocking team. There's going to be one shocker. And I just feel like this one is the easiest one. FP. This one's the easiest one that you can kind of look at and say, why not them? And, you know, I want to compare it to, if you remember Andrew Luck in his second year in the NFL, they went to the AFC Championship too.
You know what? You're
And
really
that Bengals team kind of reminds me of that Colts team a little bit.
So I put these glasses on just like my man just Joe put his cool glasses on when he came to the press conference, you know. And I'm happy you went down this route because I didn't even tell you that we had the Joe Cool thing right here. You know, I didn't watch Joe Montana. He's too old.
Right.
But I've watched Joe Burrow. And what Joe Burrow is, he is a culture setter. He said this isn't the icing on the cake. We expected to do this. And we've seen in NFL recently, in recent NFL history, that the second nearest year, Patrick Mahomes' second year in the league, he goes to the AFC Championship.
50 touchdowns, MVP.
Right. Second year as a starter, he wins a Super Bowl. Second year, we see Carson Wentz pipe up.
I hate to bring the Falcons in. Matt Ryan, second year under Kyle Shanahan. Top 10 all time.
All I'm saying is don't be shocked if Joe Burrow's in LA in a few weeks.
I don't think it's crazy to believe it because the defense isn't terrible. That's like the key thing that everybody's got to understand. It's honestly a scrappy defense.
And Joe Burrow's playing like an MVP. Like, I get it.
And Joe Mixon's a Pro Bowler this year.
Right. And Jamar Chase is playing like a top 5 receiver in the league. I know it's the Bengals. It's the Bengals, and they haven't been good since Boomer.
Higgins, not bad receivers.
No.
CJ Uzomah, whatever the tight end's name is. He can ball. Like he's
Tyler Boyd.
He's gonna get about $7 million, $8 million.
Tyler Boyd's a good third option. Like, and I get their offensive line isn't what we want. Their defense isn't great,
but it also isn't leaked. Like they're not giving up 500 yards. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're competent. They're a relatively unknown defense. You can't really name any players. I know Hendrickson, obviously.
Can I see Joe Burrow throwing for 350 and 4 tubs this weekend?
For Tennessee? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
don't get me wrong. I can see them losing too.
Who the fuck's guarding Jamar Chase? Because he's sure as hell he was getting off against the Raiders. So
who do they have playing corner out there? They got rid of Malcolm Butler. Janoris Jenkins, maybe ain't he over there?
I don't think it matters.
I don't either. So, like I'm saying, don't be shocked if we see Joe Burrow make it to the Super Bowl, bro. And that sounds crazy to say, but it's really not that crazy because you say who's the best. We say who's the best quarterback today, and guess what? Joe Burrow's a better quarterback today than Ryan Tannehill's ever been in his life.
Agreed.
We give Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen the pass because Patrick Mahomes has done it at such a high level his entire career, and Josh Allen's peaks are so damn high. You know, he's like consistent Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, like Josh Allen's what we want Carson Wentz to be. Super athletic, crazy arm, can run people over, big guy. But Joe Burrow is just as good as these guys. Like Joe Burrow should get more MVP votes than Patrick Mahomes this year. So if he should get more MVP votes than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, how come we can't say he's the best quarterback right now? You know what I mean? Like he's playing quarterback at that level.
He is, and he's doing it at the right time, which is the most important thing. You know, you're not doing it against, you know, because you're playing the Texans, the Jets, the Jaguars in back-to-back weeks.
No, because he's
you're beating the hell out of the Ravens. You're beating the hell out of the Steelers. You're beating these teams that have these identities, these cultures already set, and you're just kind of coming in and saying, fuck it. And let's not forget that even with Zach Taylor, I'm still cold on him a little, but at the same time, he's a disciple. He's a part of that Shanahan tree because he's a McVay guy. So he is a similar piece of steel, you know? Or iron sharpens iron. He's the same type of thing.
Joe Burrow has the right amount of fuck it in him, you know, where he's
that too. Yeah, he's got the mind.
He's not scared of you, but he has the right respect for his opponent, but he has the right level of confidence in himself where he goes, "You're good. I'm just better."
Right. I'm Joe fucking Burrow.
Right. So it seems like we're riding with the Bengals in this one, and unless Derrick Henry goes crazy for 250 and he pulls a Cam Akers, like, hey, you're coming back way too early and you're gonna overproduce. Let's go to the NFC. Let's hit those two NFC games, and we'll come back for the finale because I think the game of the week is obviously Chiefs Bills.
Absolutely.
Let's go Rams Bucks first. The Rams, it's the rematch. I was supposed to have the Debo line fucking queued up so I could get him saying it's the rematch, you know, because we're now talking about rematches here. The Rams beat the shit out of the Bucks, if we're being honest. And if Matt Stafford, who has a strong arm, doesn't underthrow Deshaun Jackson, that game is a lot uglier than it was. You know, and that's something I've seen from Matt Stafford all year. He underthrows a lot of deep balls.
You don't think that arm's getting a little cooked, do you?
I don't know if the arm's getting cooked because
32, 33.
Yeah, he's still throwing it deep down the field. It's just not like, hey, Matt, you should like overthrow this one, you know, and you're dropping it like a yard and a half short, kind of like the Stetson ball to Pickens, where it's like, we would have liked a little bit more if you put it here because we score a touchdown here. You're just not placing the ball right. But anyways, I'm going to be honest with you. I just want the Rams to win. So, like, I'm just going to be biased. I'm going to just own my bias. I want the Rams to win. I don't want to see Tom Brady go back to another NFC championship. I want the Rams experiment to work until they run into Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm choosing the narratives that I want to happen, but also I think that the Rams have an interior pass rush, which frustrates Tom. They have an exterior pass rush, which included with their interior pass rush will frustrate Tom. Tom may have Rojo, may have playoff Lenny, but they're not at 100%. And Mike Evans wants no smoke with Jalen Ramsey. So, like, what are we doing here?
Well, and we've seen too, you know, obviously, case in point when they play the Saints. And I'm not saying the Rams are the same as the Saints, but what I am saying is that they've got the talent to certainly do what the Saints did. Mm-hmm. You could argue from a talent standpoint, probably the most talented defense that the Bucs have had to face all year. And they didn't even have Von Miller when they played him the first time. So,
no.
That just adds another dynamic to the team. And I just look at Tampa this year, and everybody knows what the key to beating the Bucs is. You got to hit Brady, and that's always been the key to beating when he's at the Patriots. That's why the Giants have 2 Super Bowls. They hit Brady. They were
Eli's going to the Hall of Fame because
Brady might throw for 400 yards in the game still, but if you're pressuring him and you're hitting him, pretty soon and then if Wirfs is hurt and doesn't play, and then I think the center went down too. Look, man, yeah, they're gonna be in for a long day. And the Rams, like I said, they'll be able to score enough points to put the pressure on them to where, what are you guys going to do? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Because Lenny's not going to be running the ball. And Brady doesn't have all of his weapons. There's no AB, there's no
Godwin.
No Godwin. You can only run but so many different tight end sets,
And the Buccaneers secondary is dog food. I mean, I know you didn't
brought in Richard Sherman, who got hurt. I haven't heard anything from him since.
Oh, he's back to podcasting again. He's no longer on with Collinsworth, which I think
didn't cut him, did they?
I don't know if they cut him. I just know I just see everything.
Season, though.
I just know he started his own podcast because Chris Collinsworth couldn't be associated with him in his shenanigans. Which good.
Kind of like Joe Buck with Randy Moss, just can't be associated together.
Didn't Joe Buck go in on Randy Moss for the moon?
Yeah.
Joe Buck.
He said it was the most disgusting act. And I like Joe Buck, but that was such what's your problem, man?
That's some pompous white shit that Joe Buck
It is. And you got to think about it. It was like 04, 03.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Different time.
But still, it wasn't that bad. Like, he didn't actually.
Well, it was the most disgusting act he had seen.
But
he didn't really pull his pants down, Joe.
No, he didn't do it. He just acted like he pulled his pants. It never bothered me.
It didn't bother me either. I'm like, oh, okay. He mooned, instead of, doing the Lambeau leap like so many other players do when they do score in Green Bay. He just, casually pulled his pants down. Dante Culpepper's doing the,
Everybody get your roll on.
Bro, Dante Culpepper, what an interesting guy.
Yeah, UCF guy. B. Marsh too. But
Blake Bortles.
But here's the thing, man. Odell Beckham and Cooper Kupp. That's what it boils down to. Like, it doesn't matter if the Buccaneers run defense shows up again. Odell Beckham is showing you that he is still OBJ, and he doesn't need the targets. Like, I'm gonna make a play, and he's happy in LA. So he's happy, like, hey, I get my 2 plays, I get my 1 tub a game, I'm good, man. Like, Baker's not throwing me these bullshit balls. Like, I just like that matchup.
He lost Baker more money.
Oh,
because then it was like, wow, that looks like Odell Beckham from the Giants. But Baker, what? I don't understand. Why didn't you? What was going on? Could you not get it? Like, what was the issue?
Hey, same reason why Matt Nagy was a 12-4 coach of the year and didn't finish his contract out, and why Kevin Stefanski is a coach of the year who's outside the playoffs right now with one of the best rosters in the league.
They better try and flip Baker for Kirk Cousins if the Vikings are trying to semi-rebuild that thing, because I think Thielen's going to be gone. And then
what the fuck do you want to do with Baker? Like,
well, you could look at Baker. Look, think about it. If Baker got Matt's going to be our quarterback, but if Baker came to Atlanta, I wouldn't be. I know that there's potential there.
I'm not mad at Baker in Atlanta because of where we are and how far we are away from being something. And yes, Kyle Pitts is a monster. He's our leading receiver, and I don't think he played week 1.
He did. I damn sure didn't see him.
We were both there. And Justin Jefferson
is a stud.
Is an LSU guy who's an Odell guy who's getting money from Odell after the national championship.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah,
he wants no parts of Baker.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Odell is would already feed him that. Be like, no.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get to Aaron and Aaron versus Kyle, because Jimmy G sprained shoulder, fucked up thumb. bad decision making, going on dates with porn stars in public. Like, I mean, Jimmy G is, I mean,
he's Jimmy G.
He's Jimmy G. Like, yes, he's a Casanova, nice looking guy. You know, if I was a white guy, give me Jimmy G's face, right? But I don't want. I'm black.
What?
But
You wouldn't want to be Brady?
No, Brady's got too much Botox for me. Like,
yeah, but it's Brady.
I'm just saying the face, man. It's Botox. I think Jimmy G is still all natural. but the point that I'm making here is like the fact that he went on a date with a porn star is just irresponsible. Like, it's just a dumb decision.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you can fuck her without going out to like popular place in LA with her. Like, take her out somewhere in the Bay where there's no TMZ.
Didn't KD date? Did somebody out KD for like going on a date with them?
They outed him. TMZ didn't catch them in the act. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. It's almost like Jimmy wanted to be seen with her.
Right. And that's the thing. Jimmy also wants to throw bad picks. Because
he's a Jimmy. I don't know why when I think of game managers, I just think of Alex Smith. Like, he's just the first person that comes to mind, but he did it so well for so long.
He's a reckless Alex Smith.
And let me tell you, I think Baker can be that. Baker can be Alex Smith. And let me hear me out, because remember, Alex Smith got off to a rough start for his career too.
Yeah,
and Baker's had more success than Alex Smith did. But remember, Alex Smith, a lot of people, until they got rid of I don't know, I was going to say Dick Butkus.
Not Mike, it's Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary. Until they got rid of him and they bought Harbaugh in, then we saw, you know what, Alex Smith has some value. And then it was like, well, but he can't win you the big game. I feel like Baker can have that same trajectory of a career where he's respected as a quarterback because he's shown that he can semi-win a little. Like, I mean, nonetheless, look, back to the Packers game. I think that ultimately this game is going to come down to what, you try to get the best record in the NFL for, home field advantage. It's going to be below 0 in Green Bay. I just don't see a West Coast team in the 49ers being able to go into that environment with a man that's on a mission. Because Aaron Rodgers, if it's anything for him, it's personal. Not just because they drafted Jordan Love, not just because, he's got this now, what is now a terrible record in NFC Championship games. I think that it's just personal for him with him and the Packers organization. He really wants to win them a championship just so he can stick it to them for all those reasons and say, you guys have never, ever given me what it is exactly that I wanted. I should have input on everything. I am just as great as Tom Brady too. Even though I don't have the Super Bowls that go with it, where's the respect? You guys have never shown me that respect. I bought you a Super Bowl. You drafted me, and you disrespected the guy before me by drafting me because, a lot of people were like, why did they draft a quarterback? Brett Favre just went to the play. Like, what are we drafting?
10-6, aren't they? Yeah, because they drafted him at 22. Yeah, they were like a 10-6.
They were a playoff team. Yeah, they were a playoff team. And, and he's seeing history repeat itself too. And obviously, him and Devontae Adams did the Last Dance thing on Instagram. They posted that. So I think he wants to win. He wants to Jordan it, just like the Last Dance. They went out on top, and Aaron can decide if he wants to host Jeopardy or, play somewhere else. Aaron Rodgers can do a lot of things. And so,
did you remember what Colin Cowherd said about the Packers
regarding?
He said they're like a team with a good 401k. Your retirement is going to be good. But, sometimes you got to pull out of your 401k because you see an opportunity that's going to send you to the moon, Doge to the moon.
All right.
And
Elon Musk.
Huh?
I said, fuck you, Elon Musk.
Right. But, and you as a gambler, you take certain chances when you see a gap somewhere and it's paid off for you. And even when it doesn't pay off for you, the in that particular moment, the thought process still works for you. Because, again, I see what you put in the group text. Not the stuff that we're putting out to the public. I don't
post all my talk about my wins.
Right. Like I know your method and I know how it works for you. You're not a 401k guy. You're like, hey, let's throw this money in the fucking market and make this shit dance. Because bands will make her dance.
Let's make enough money to where we don't need a 401k anyways, because we're constantly bringing it in. There's no.
And that's the Packers. You know what I'm saying? Like think about this. So many guys take pleasure in saying, yeah, bro, I got her off the mouthpiece. That's cool. I took her on vacation and it didn't hurt me to do that. And we didn't even talk the whole time. And I still had fun. And I still got the same thing you got. So who worked harder?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think you brought that together.
Hey man, look here. I'm out here pushing P.
Can we get a We Ballin' Big Baby?
We ballin', big baby.
There you go.
Where we at? We're at 150. I think this is an Instagram clip.
What?
This whole little thing we just did an Instagram clip.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, so that's the Packers, bro. Like the Packers are out here trying to get her off their mouthpiece instead of understanding that, hey, bro, you can take her on this vacation, only drop 2 racks. And instead of them 3 weeks you've been spending texting and FaceTiming and chilling, you just drop these 3 racks this weekend and you got what you wanted. And Aaron Rodgers like, hey, bro, we got the money. Trick.
We've been this close 2 years in a row.
Hear me out. Let's just go trick and have us a merry time out here so we can get this ring.
Because that's ultimately what you're doing it for, right? The ring.
Yeah, I figure that's what
Herm said it. You play to win the game. And if you win every game, the last game.
Did you not catch my joke about having a merry time?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure.
I caught it.
Yeah, so are we rocking with the Packers or are we rocking with Kyle?
I'm rocking with the home team. I think that Aaron Rodgers is a man on the mission, and once we do the picks too, I'll give you even more explanation. But
I'll be dog
weather. Give me the pack at home.
You know what? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump into the 6-pack. I don't even know if it's a 6-pack, but it's
actually gonna be an 8-pack because I'm gonna pick the over-unders, along with spread or winner.
I just want to let the people know that we come on this podcast and we do a pre-production meeting, but so much of this podcast is just me and my friend talking football. It's really not as staged or as produced as you may think it is. It's really us just having drinks together, talking football. And if you were to hang out with us, the conversation would be very similar, just a little bit less filtered.
Well, we got to put out a product that's, appropriate for the public.
Yeah.
We got to put out the P.
Yeah, we got to put some good P out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good pub is good P.
Right.
Let
me tell you. So let's go into your 6-pack or your 8-pack. And what we'll do is we'll give our thoughts on the Bills-Chiefs game in the 8-pack.
Let's do it. I'll make sure that's the last game I pick.
Perfect.
So we're going to do the 8-pack. So this is the first time that we've done that. And it's because we're obviously limited on games. There's only 4 games this week. So I'm going to go ahead and pick either a winner or a spread, and I'm going to do the over-unders in every game. So let's kick it off the right way. We're going to start with that Rams game that we were just talking about earlier with the Bucs. I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams plus 4.5. So it's 3.5 is the spread. I'm buying a point. The reason for this is that Rams team is obviously, to me, probably the most talented team in the NFL, roster-wise. They've got the play calling, and now they finally have substituted Goff for Stafford, who, granted, doesn't have a track record of winning these type of games because, well, he just won his first playoff game last week against the KKK. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams plus 4.5. I just like them covering that number. The Bucs are coming in banged up. The weather's going to be good, so that won't be a factor in a game like this. Even though they're traveling across the country, Brady is still an old man. And we got BA out here slapping niggas in the head. There's just a lot of stuff going on over there. And there is pressure as a defending champion to repeat. Always, right? There's always that pressure. And most teams don't get there. Brady's the last person to do it in 03, 04. I think that the buck stops here. See what I did there? Buck stops here.
Yeah, we gotta get you a drop for that, for shit like that.
We do. So give me the Rams plus 4.5. We're gonna buy the point. Give me the Rams. And in that same game, they have the over/under set at 48.5. As much as I do like the defense for the Rams, I think that it's going to be one of those things where if they get up early, whether it's, trading field goals to start, and then the Rams go up 13-6, and then they maybe kick another field goal at 16-6, that could be our score at halftime, right? I like over 48.5. I just expect the Rams to be able to score enough to where the Bucs are going to have to continue to keep up. So they're going to be throwing the ball. And when you throw the ball at the end of the day, whether it's turnovers or scores, there's going to be more points that are going to get manufactured. So give me that over 48.5 in the Rams-Bucs game. Next game, we'll stay in the NFC. Let's go 49ers-Packers. As I kind of just stated, I like the Packers on the money line. It's going to be below 0. Lambeau Field, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, bad man. I wouldn't want to run into that. I like them on the money line. I'm not even going to do the spread because I do think the 49ers can keep it relatively close. Kyle Shanahan has a great track record against his proteges, but I think that Aaron Rodgers is just enough to get it done for his guys. So give me the Packers on the money line. But in the same process, let me get the under at under 47.5. And here's why. The Packers, if you look at it analytically, the Packers have actually had more games go under this season than anyone in the NFL. That's an interesting take. The 49ers are going to try and establish the run game because, well, I wouldn't want to put it all on Jimmy G either. I think that the Packers are going to be neutralized a little bit, even with Aaron Rodgers, to where they're not just going to be able to run up the score on this type of game. I like the under 47.5. So give me that in that game. Next, let's move to the AFC. Let's go with the Bengals, Titans. I like the Bengals plus 4.5, and I kind of like them to honestly be my upset of the week and just take a money line. But to be safe, I'm going to take the points. I like them at 4.5. It's also another one that's at 3.5, and we're just going to buy the point because that way it sets up if it's 28-24 or something like that. You're not left out, and it's not just like a field goal game that you need. You got a little bit of wiggle room. I like Joe Cool to get it done personally, but at the same time, I think that the points are of a great value. Derrick Henry will be coming back, but how healthy is he really? They could have at least let him get his warm-up game in the last week, which I guess it meant something because they did need to win it in order to seal the number 1 seed, but he could have got it out there just to get a little warm-up. Either that or he wasn't really ready, and so if he's not really ready, I don't think he's going to be at a 100% in this game. Julio Jones has been one of the worst investments for the Titans. He hasn't done anything. He caught his first touchdown in that last game of the season. A.J. Brown is an okay player. I don't think that he's as good as everybody thinks he is, and that's just my opinion on him. He was definitely the better of the Ole Miss receivers because he's better than DK, but yeah.
DK is, man, he's mid.
Yeah, he is. And people were really trying to argue that he was like a top 5 receiver last year. I get stunned. I digress on that conversation. Give me the Bengals plus 4.5, buying the point there. And in the same game, they got the over-under set at 47. I like the points. I think that the Bengals will be able to score enough points to make this thing go over. And certainly, even if the Titans were to win the game, that would mean that they're going to have to score some points too. I just think that 47 is a bit of a low number considering both of these teams score a lot of points. And I know it's a playoff game.
You only pay for what you need. And we got to do it fast.
And then we'll get into that final game, which we'll –
You said over 47.5, right?
No, over 47. I'm sorry, not 47.5.
Oh,
it's 47 in that game. That's what it said at.
Hey, this your boy Soulja.
So that's what I was trying to get to.
I got a new dance for y'all. You got to do the pool paddle, then you take your arm and pull your trigger finger. You know what I'm saying? Shoot! Let me get him. 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 Now shoot out! Hey! Now shoot out! Hey! Now shoot out!
And that's a perfect way to segment into this Chiefs game because we'll even start with the over-under in that game. They have it at 54.5. Pound that over, baby. They are going to be in the 30s in this game. I think it's going to be an instant classic, truth be told, because these are, in my opinion, maybe outside of the Packers, the best 2 teams in the NFL.
It's the best game of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it should be outside of potentially the Super Bowl, depending on who's there. But I think it's going to be one of those games that we remember for a while, considering the way that the Bills beat them. So give me the over at the over 54.5 because I expect there to be plenty of points. I expect all the points. And we saw in their wild card games, both of these teams put up points. And so against respectable defenses at that. And we know the Chiefs don't even have a respectable defense. But they have Patrick Mahomes. And even with the Bills having a good defense, I just expect them to get what they want. And they're at home, which brings me to my actual pick on the game. I'm going to go ahead and not even take the Chiefs money line. Give me the Chiefs minus 2.5. I expect them to cover the 3-point spread. I do think that they're going to win by exactly 3 points. I could easily see 34-31. This thing could get to 38-35. It could go numerous ways to where basically who's got the ball last wins. I think it will be the Chiefs. And I expect them to ride that wave of momentum that they pretty much have had here at the end of the season and get it done at home against the Bills. Give me the Chiefs minus 2.5. And then that will conclude this 8-pack.
All right, just to review this 8-pack, because I like it, and then I'm going to give you a little Chiefs and Bills stuff.
Let's do it.
2 hours going, but who cares? We got Rams plus 4.5 versus the Bucks. We're going to buy a point.
Correct.
I got Rams versus Bucks. We're going over 48.5 because it's a shootout. Hey. Then we got 49ers at the Packers. We're taking the Packers money line.
And the under 47.5.
And then we're going under 47.5. And next game.
And
then we got
Who Day Nation, not Who Dat, Who Day Nation.
Yeah, you know, I'm all about Who Day. Fuck Who Dat. And we got Bengals. We're going to take them plus 4.5 versus the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're feeling real freaky, you'll take the Bengals money line because, hey, Big Baby likes the Bengals. And that's P. And that's on P. That ain't P. That's on P. Super B on P. Yeah, there we go. And then we also going to take the over 47.
Correct.
Then we're going to go Bills at Chiefs. We're going to go over 45.5 because that's going to be the shootout of all shootouts. Huh?
54.5.
Excuse me, 54.5. I wrote it down right. I said it wrong. It's over 54.5.
What are you, dyslexic? No, I'm kidding.
Bitch, I might be. I'm not calling you a bitch. I
I
just got to clear that up because I don't want
you just smack me in the back of my head.
Yeah, I ain't trying to be Bruce Arians out here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That ain't T. And then we got Bills at the Chiefs. We're taking the Chiefs minus 2.5. I think this Bills and Chiefs thing is going to be an instant classic. It's going to be an instant classic for so many reasons. For one, Patrick Mahomes is like, I mean, if you could say, hey, let me start my career off one way.
Video game-esque.
And you talk about that one, right? You go like, what a great career. What a great fucking career. You know, to start off, right? And then you have Josh Allen, who is like
a kind of a creative quarterback.
He's a creative quarterback, and he has those flaws that would make you like not want to have him. But he also has this upside that goes, yeah, bro, I need that guy. Yeah, I need that guy. You know, and so when you see that and you put it all together, you go, bro, this game's going to be an instant fucking classic, bro. I'm looking forward to it because the Bills won in the regular season. It's hard to beat another team again because the team who got beat had a different focus. But the Chiefs has also showed themselves to be like bullshit in games. Like, why did it take until the end of the second quarter for you to get hot against the Steelers? Like,
right.
We thought we had a game at one point. And if they start off that slow again, they're going to lose.
Yeah, and my thought is this. It's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. Always. Especially when you're this competitive and you're not necessarily division rivals.
Uh-huh.
You know, what did my man Travis Kelce say in that interview? They're like, yeah, it looks kind of like like Stella got their groove back. Like the Chiefs got the groove back after they had won that game. I think it was against it wasn't against the Chargers. I forgot who it was. They beat somebody, and then he did the interview and he walked off. And he said, "I guess I got my swagger back." Oh. and I just think that they are kind of riding that wave. And everybody's got to remember too, they were Super Bowl favorites last year. And this is a team that's went to the Super Bowl
2 years in a row. AFC
2 years in a row, and really could have went a third year.
Right.
Because, if D Ford just doesn't, do what D Ford did. But
is he still in the league, by the way?
I think so. Yeah. I think he's in Indy. No, I don't know. But nonetheless,
D Ford play for?
I like
Currently, D Ford plays for the 49ers.
Guess he's going to be making an appearance at Lambeau this weekend.
Right, because Mr. Bosa's not going to be there.
Oh, you think he's not going to show up? He's not hurt.
Yeah, both have a concussion, man.
Oh, man, he's in protocol.
He's in protocol, and Fred Warner is like hurt too. Yeah,
you might have to rethink that over under. Those are two big pieces, but I still like Shanahan's game plan to make it to where the Packers don't just run it up on them. But
yeah, no.
I just like the Chiefs at home. I think it's hard for them to beat a team twice at home in 1 year. Bills, I tell you what, Bills win this game, they win the Super Bowl. Something that's never happened for them. And I'm willing to go out on a whim and say that if they are to win this game, I think that they'll win the Super Bowl. Because you start talking about if Joe Cool does what Joe Cool should do, then the Bills will be at home in the AFC Championship game. Those people, some of the best fans, if not the best fans in the NFL, in my opinion. It's going to be freezing cold, of course. And then you get to that point where you're in the Super Bowl. You probably play against Green Bay. Or let's say it's L.A. Let's say it's L.A. or Green Bay. Would have been nice if the Cowboys could have won, because then, you might have had a chance of a Bills-Cowboys. I don't know. That would have been a great story. But
great storyline, but I mean,
yeah. And then the Bills get their redemption, whatever. But yeah, I just think that Kansas City, they've got the horses. They're at home, and what they have to their for them is the fact that they did already lose to them, and they know exactly what they did wrong in losing to them in that game. So I just like Kansas City to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm rooting against Kansas City. Personally,
do you just not want to see them again?
I'm tired of Nick Wright.
So this is against Nick Wright, not Kansas City. It's mainly Nick Wright.
Yeah, because Nick Wright's this Kansas City fan who is, if he's not talking Kansas City and he's not talking LeBron, he's one of my favorite sportscasters in the game. But when he talks Kansas City, he just has this arrogance that I hate. I just hate it. And maybe I'm hating it because I'm a Falcons fan and we just can't have that arrogance ever. And I just want him to have to eat crow on TV on Monday. That's all.
Well, and you might get your wish, because I do think that this is going to be the most competitive game. And there's going to be a lot of competitive games. Think about it. There's nothing that's over the spread of 4.5. There's, nothing that there's anything in that. And so I think that it's going to be probably the most competitive game. And like you said, I think we both agree that it's probably going to be a classic. And I just expect it to be a great game overall.
I do too. And if I were going to bet the game, I would still bet Kansas City, because I believe in Patrick Mahomes more than I believe in Josh Allen.
And we know that that's what these conversations come down to. It's the same thing when there's a NBA finals or like a divisional playoff game in the NBA or conference finals, whatever. It always comes down to who's the best player on the field or court.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, man, it's been 2 hours. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, no.
All right, cool, man. We're going to hold awful officiating until next week, because I'm pretty sure the officials are going to do what they do again, and we're going to have more to talk about awful officiating. But Dallas, you didn't get fucked. You fucked yourself.
Exactly. You weren't P.
Hey, y'all keep it P out here, man. We out of here.
Salute. I'll catch you next time, brother.
All right, Doc.
All right.
Yep.